Well, good morning. John Jones here with Monday Motivation, of course, brought to you by BAI. Hope you guys had a great Super Bowl weekend. Today, I want to take a moment and just remind you all and myself of the power of the human belief system, right? Socrates once said that 90% of learning is really the process of remembering. And so let's do some remembering today and get focused. Intellectually, I think we all know that our beliefs are a major factor in the quality of our lives, right? We know that what we believe is possible for, you know, to accomplish. And more importantly, we know that what we believe is possible for ourselves plays a huge role, right? In terms of what we would even attempt to accomplish, right? Remember the scene when, you know, Yoda is teaching Luke Skywalker to use the Force and to use the Force to pull his spaceship out of the muck and the swamp, and Luke's unable to do it. And then Luke says, I don't, you expect the impossible. And then, of course, Yoda uses the Force, pulls that ship right out of the out of the swamp, and Luke says, "I don't believe it." And then, of course, the big line from Yoda, the master, was, "That is why you fail," right? So we just kind of know that our beliefs play that massive role intellectually. But I think sometimes when we get busy and we're adults and we're managing our lives, we kind of lose sight a little bit about this force that is within us. You guys, every religion in the world, every sage, religious leader, personal development expert, motivator, from Jesus Christ to Yoda, will tell you that, our beliefs are going to shape our destiny, right? So we know, I want to remind you this simple formula. Beliefs drive our actions, actions produce our results. Beliefs, actions, results. Great example. Maybe you've heard a simple story. 1954, you guys. Roger Bannister, the first athlete to run a mile in less than 4 minutes, right? At the time, this was believed to be impossible. For decades, people did things like hooked up athletes to animals to try to get them to run faster. It started to become this sentiment that, you know what, this is the threshold of performance. The human heart cannot be taken to this level of performance over a sustained period of time to run a sub 4 minute mile. Well, 1954, Roger Bannister breaks the 4 minute mile. But here's the thing, all of a sudden, as soon as he breaks the threshold, runners all over the world start breaking the 4 minute mile. Today, you guys, runners break the 4 minute mile all the time. Great example. And we also know this about the relationship in psychology and beliefs is that our beliefs determine the actions that we take. The actions that we take then produce our results. But then that accumulation of results becomes a set of references, right? It becomes some historical data in our psychology that then reinforces the beliefs to become even stronger, right? Then it becomes this unstoppable wheel where our beliefs drive our actions produce great results. The great results then strengthen our belief system to get even bigger and stronger, very much like putting legs underneath a tabletop. And that's one of the reasons why we see winners tend to keep on winning. Have you noticed that? We get the same teams back in the Super Bowl. How does that happen like that? Right. So it's pretty interesting to think about that. Empowering beliefs unlock human potential. I know intellectually you've heard this, we know this. But I just wanted to bring this to the forefront of your mind where it needs to be. People rarely exceed their belief system, you guys, right? Beliefs also influence our ability to communicate and specifically produce results in the sales consultant role. So yeah, not only talking about big motivational stuff here, you guys, but the fact of the matter is the human belief system plays a practical and measurable role in sales and business performance. Here's a little research caption. Human beliefs are critical, often foundational drivers of success in sales, significantly impacting both the seller's performance and also the buyer's perception and decision making. right? Researchers are now calling this impact a transfer of conviction. I love that. Transfer of conviction. So I want you guys to start measuring yourself on a scale from 0 to 10. What score would you give yourself on your ability of transferring your conviction? Right? Now, Zig Ziglar used to explain that selling is really a transference of emotion. Well, guys, we can't transfer over to other people what we don't have ourselves. I can't give you $100 if I don't have $100. I can't give you certainty and passion and confidence about an opportunity if I don't have it to transfer, right? So we kind of know that. I love that word, transfer of conviction. Give that some thought. Where a salesperson's genuine belief in their product, in themselves, in their ability to help a client directly influences closing rates, sometimes accounting for 37% to 88% difference, particularly when they look at comparing optimistic beliefs versus pessimistic beliefs, you guys. And let me share this with you. You know, passion and confidence was one of the things they use as a measuring stick in performance, right? Would you guys agree that beliefs contribute to passion and confidence? I think we would. Well, research shows that passionate and confident salespeople close deals at 15% high, 15% higher, just being more passionate, more confident based on these studies. Think about this, guys. What does 15% better mean in our industry? Hmm? You take the leads that you've got, improve your ratio by 10, 15%. It's pretty substantial, isn't it? Remember the winning edge theory. Talked about this before. It can be defined as understanding that in a very competitive world, when you're competing at a high level, like all of you are, when you're competing at a high level, there is then a disproportionate level for being just a little bit better, right? Major League Baseball is a great example. Somebody gets up to the plate, they get 2 hits out of every 10. They have a 200 batting average. They're making the league minimum, you guys, unless they have like a 100-mile-an-hour fastball to go with that batting average. League minimum is pretty darn good, though. I don't know, $800,000 or whatever it is. But it's going to be a very short career with a 200 batting average, getting 2 hits out of every 10. But another player, whatever the reason is, I'm sure you guys would agree that their belief system and mindset is a big part of it because these people are all great athletes, but they get one more hit out of every 10. They have a 300 batting average versus a 200 batting average. What are we talking about now? Now we're talking about a base salary income, 20, 30, 40, $50 million a year, and endorsements on top of that, more tens of millions of dollars, you guys. Can you believe that? We're talking about becoming a billionaire today simply because you're able to get one more hit. The winning edge theory, it's real. Psychologist Martin Seligman did some research on sales reps who were scoring high on optimism. This was the big one, optimism. And that people who are more optimistic than others, not at the highest level of optimism, but people who are pretty optimistic, right? They scored 37% better in results than their pessimistic counterparts. Whereas those who scored on the highest levels of optimism, this is sales now, but people who scored the highest levels on the optimism score, they would outperform their pessimistic counterparts by 88%, right? Being optimistic, being passionate, being confident, it matters. And it's not just some fluffy rah-rah stuff. It's science. The data's there. Income levels are there, sales results are there. We need to tap into that, right? 40 to 60%, you guys, of business to business deals, they say stall simply because the buyer just lacks the confidence to move forward, right? So the features, the benefits, the offer, the financial qualifications, all that stuff is there, right? But 40 to 60% of these deals stall simply because the buyer just doesn't have enough confidence to move forward, right? That's where the transfer of conviction, What are the top producers able to do? They're able to get into that 60%, generate, activate the transfer of conviction and help their clients move through into the decision-making mode. And that's where these massive differences are in performance and earnings. I want you guys to take inventory of your belief, and I need to do the same. Let's make sure that our beliefs are working for us and not against us. Again, let's make sure, let's do some inventory, make sure that our beliefs, the things that are going on, the stories in our mind that we're telling us, our mindset, let's make sure it's working for us and not against us. It's a very, very powerful instrument right here. And if this thing is working against us, it, business is hard enough, right? So we want to make sure it's working for us. Here's some great news. You can actually strengthen your belief system, you guys. We can transform our bodies through diet and exercise, and we can strengthen our belief system as well. Here's a couple things to consciously focus on. Number one, consciously expose yourself to positive stuff. So simple. Maybe you guys might remember this in the 80s, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, right? It's kind of a computer term, but then it turned into a motivational self-help term of, hey, you expose yourself to a bunch of garbage in your mind, then a bunch of garbage is going to come out in your performance and in your life. So just make sure you eat the good stuff. Make sure you expose your mind to the good, optimistic, positive things as well. We all know, you guys, negativity sells, doesn't it? Negativity gets people to click. And all this is coming at us like never before in human history. We must stand guard of our mind and our belief system. I mean, think about it, you guys. You can actually cause a plant to wither and die by speaking negatively at it. The plant picks up on the vibrations of negativity and it starts to deplete their cells. That's unbelievable. Imagine what the impact of negativity on the human mind and soul and spirit. Man, just be conscious of that. And this is a great thing to bring to your families, isn't it, as well? Number two, focus on those who are getting the results that you want, you guys, not from an envious standpoint, but just from a pure understanding that if that person can do it, I can do it. We live in a cause and effect world. I got the same resources and access to things as this person. If that person can do it, then I can do it. Get your mind off what the average person is doing and how many people are succeeding and how many people are struggling and what's the likelihood that I could be successful, and just focus on, is anybody getting the results that I want? Yes, because there always is. There's always somebody I know it's been true in my entire life. I have always had people who are getting the results that I would love to have, dream about. They've got them. What does that mean for all my excuses? Just squashes them, doesn't it? And I think that's good. That's good. That's challenging, and that's what you want. Look, here's what we also know. A lot of people who are getting the results that we want, in many cases, these people are not doing it because they have favorable circumstances. The reality of it is, in many cases, these people are achieving things despite many challenges that we don't have, right? So that's a great place to look at from the mindset. If they can do it, I can do it. Focus on the people who are getting the results and know that you can too. Think about this. How do you guys explain this? How do we explain that in our industry, we've got people that perform at the top level of earnings, right? And those who struggle and everything in between, like everything else. But yet here's what we know. I'll tell you this, I know this. The top producers in this industry, they have access to the exact same resources as everybody else. They do. They work with the same brands. They use the same marketing methods. They use the same software. They have this pretty much the same process. They buy leads from the same places, right? They have the same, funding resources available to themselves and their clients. They have the same interest rates that the banks are offering. They have the same economy to work with. They've got the same calendar. They got the same 24 hours in the day. It's the same. So what's different? What's the magic? Well, it's not one thing, it's a multitude of things. Of course, there's different levels of experience and skill and activity and consistency, right? And attitude. And of course, we can't avoid this. The belief system is foundational to all of those things, right? The belief system improves all of it. The belief system is either working for us or against us, right? Our belief system is either helping us highlight and take advantage of our strengths, or it's reducing our capability and our potential. Number three is view failures as outcomes and just learn from them. You guys don't register, don't categorize any setback as a failure because it's not a failure. You're not a failure. There's just outcomes and then learning. There's an outcome, we learn, we adjust, we keep going. There's an outcome, we learn from it, we adjust, and we keep going. And someone who does that and persists over time, they win. They're almost unstoppable, right? But of course, I think you guys would agree it takes some belief, a certain belief system to be able to approach things that way. And that's why we got to go all the way back into not just what are best practices. You could absorb best practices till the cows come home, but if the belief system inside of you is not going to empower you to take action, right, and to share that powerful transfer of conviction, then it's not going to happen. Next other one is four. Frame your role as helping, not selling. We know this. We talk about this a lot here at BAI. We do a fantastic job of this. We're not here to convince anybody of anything. And we know if we tried, it wouldn't do us any good or our clients any good. We're simply here to help. Remember the analogy of a coach, coming from the word stagecoach, which was defined as a horse-drawn carriage that would pick people up and take them where they want to go. That's what you do. We simply pick people up, take them where they want to go. When ambitious people with a lot of integrity and values and ethics like all of you, when you see your role as something like that and positive, that's going to inspire your belief system to work for you, right? Give that some thought. Make sure you focus on that mindset. Number five, deepen your knowledge. You guys plug in. That's why we do all these things here at BAI. Plug into the webinars, plug into Monday Motivation, right? Plug into the Thursday Forum, plug into the Brokerhood interviews, plug into our national conferences, plug into the speed networking, right? Read the comments, read the posts, right? Build relationships. Get with me on a monthly basis and talk about your business and marketing ideas and things you want to focus on, or other mentors and coaches that you can have access to, you guys. But plug in and engage, especially with other positive, optimistic people. Another one is focus on your strengths, you guys. Focus on your strengths. I've always thought that, I'm a football person, so I always thought that, football was a great example. When you see a great player, take, for example, a Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady, as you guys know, considered the greatest quarterback of all time, amazing Super Bowl win record, and of course, not the most athletic person, right? I guarantee you, Tom Brady did not spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out how he was going to become a better athlete and be able to run the football and scramble around, make guys miss, and convert third and longs with his feet. That was his weakness. And you know what? He didn't give a darn about his weakness. He did not focus on that. He focused on his strengths. He focused on his mind, his discipline, his preparation, and his accurate arm, and how he can showcase those strengths. And that's going to take him all the way to Canton, Ohio, in the Hall of Fame, of course. Now, same applies here. We're at a point now, we've got a lot of resources and opportunity. Let's take your strengths to the marketplace and showcase that, because look, when you focus on your strengths, what is it you're saying to yourself, and what's the belief that you're supporting? You're supporting the belief that says, my strengths are enough, right? When you feel like you got to go improve and you got to go, solve this problem that you have, what you're kind of saying internally to yourself, the internal belief is there that my strengths are not enough. I'm not enough yet. I've got to go over here, work on myself first, and then. And the reality of it is, those who win in business, especially as entrepreneurs, they don't wait around to become perfect first before they take action. They just conjure enough optimism and passion and confidence in their own belief system, and they just get going. And then the outcomes happen, and then they learn and they adjust, and then they keep going, right? And then allow these experiences to generate momentum and strengthen your belief system over time. And then finally, you know, great little mental strategy, called act as if. It's not quite the same as fake it till you make it. That's not what I'm talking about. What we're talking about is visualize what you want your life to look like, what you want your business to look like, the results you'd like to accomplish, and then step into that role. Don't just chase it, but step into it, right? Step into it. What does that look like? If you were to accomplish the highest of your expectations within your business, or even greater, if you were like the best of all time in this industry, if you were the Tom Brady of the franchising consulting industry, what would what would that look like? If you were to step into that, how would you walk? How would you talk? What would your exercise routine look like? What would your calendar look like? How would you qualify candidates? Where would you market? How would you market? Right? What types of people would you contact and reach out to talk to that maybe you're not reaching out to now because maybe you don't think you're ready or you're not at that level? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do if you knew you already owned this position of being the GOAT in your industry? Walk in that place. I think you guys would agree. Some of the people that we admire the most have done that and display that kind of a faith. I know I'm inspired by those kinds of people. I think you would agree that Muhammad Ali acted as if he was the greatest before he actually became the greatest. My favorite example, someone who really inspired me years ago was Christopher Reeves. I'm sure you guys probably know the story. The great actor who played Superman in Superman 1 and had a horrible horse riding accident, became a quadriplegic. And as you guys know, Christopher Reeves dedicated his remainder of his life to this cause, to raising money. But not only that, he wanted to lead by example. And he had this undying faith that he was going to walk again, you guys. And he acted as if his dream was going to come to fruition. He was going to change the world, the scientific community by raising money, by raising awareness, getting people to find the cures, new technologies, new advancements, new treatments. And he was going to lead the way, and he was going to be the first one to volunteer to test things and do it and do whatever it took. And man, every day he had his body moved and exercised and did all these therapies and acted as if he was going to walk again. And he did this for, several years, raised an amazing amount of money and impacted so many lives and made such an amazing difference. But here's the thing about this example. As we know, Christopher Reeves never walked again, right? But here's my question. Everything that he put for the table, the effort, and the person that he became in the process, even though he fell short of the outcome he was after. Wouldn't you guys agree that he didn't waste his time, right? I think that's like this fallacy that we bring with us that if we don't arrive at this dream or outcome that we want, then it won't be worth it. Then our best efforts won't be worth it. And I don't know, when human beings are inspired to bring their best to the table and bring that kind of faith and that kind of consistency and just an amazing belief system, it always seems to me that the worst possible scenario is that you inspire everybody around you, right? So just wanted to use this moment to kind of remind you about the power of the human belief system. And here in this business of helping others, coaching others, mentoring others, helping people pursue their dreams and step through fears to go accomplish things, we get to see the human belief system in action in a very dynamic way every single day. And I admire you guys for taking on this challenge, for being independent entrepreneurs, for controlling your own destiny, for reaching out and trying to help people in this amazing way to become entrepreneurs. Thank you for plugging into Monday Motivation. Have a great week, everybody. Remember to take inventory of your belief system and make sure that your belief system is working for you. Have a great week. Take care and have a great day.